Hey everyone, Tides here. Decided I want to make a video kind of talking about the builds that I've been making and min-maxing to prepare to get into Ash and Iron. There obviously are going to be some builds or some things here that won't get used, and not every build here is for the epic grade. This is, in my opinion, just the best builds right now for each class. And this includes a lot of tier 5 armor. On Hunter specifically, you're going to see that's not the case, and I'll go into that a little bit, but yeah, I want to go through every class, go through the build, go through the process I do to make them, and kind of highlight to you guys how I make these builds. So the first build here is the iconic Speaker Sight Warlock. This is my favorite build in the game, a very support heavy build, but one that's very effective even with the Speaker Sight's nerfs. So the biggest thing here is you want 100 discipline to get as many heal nades as possible, because anything below 100, or anything above 100, excuse me, does nothing. So you want your nade really high. I like having a high weapon stat on this build because one, it generates a lot of ammo. Two, the build is very weapons focused, right? The only thing you have to kill in this build is a Phoenix, or it's a Snap, and potentially Helion if that's something you want to run. But not a lot of lethality. So you want your weapons to kill, and you want them to generate a lot of ammo, right? On top of the fact that these three stats, health, melee, and class, are really not necessary to have that high because of Emer Benevolence, a very good fragment that pretty much makes it so when I heal nade, when I Phoenix dive, when I snap near a teammate, I just get a bunch of my other abilities for an extended period of time. It's super, super strong. One of the best fragments in the game, if not the franchise. So really would recommend that. And it allows your class, melee, and even health to be pretty low. So to offset that, I put a lot of super. You don't need this much super in neutral, if I'm going to be quite honest. I think 70 is the sweet spot. I just like this build because it ensures that I have as much super as I need, and whenever I need a loadout swap, it's super easy and convenient. So yeah, a lot of these pieces are going to be all gunner as well. I'm going to show you guys. I have a spreadsheet. I'm going to link it below of how I made these builds. It's a little complex, but nothing really. All I do here is I input the numbers for the stats, right? So I go to my helmet here. Let's take off the weapon mod for a second. And we can look, 30 weapon, 20 grenade, 13 melee. We go here, 30 weapon, 20 grenade, 13 melee. And pretty much each box highlights if it's the primary, secondary, tertiary stat. And I have here the mods I include, and I have my tunings here, right? So for instance, I nuke my health. Every single tier 5 here, I get rid of health, get rid of health, get rid of health. And I have 5 super, 50 weapon. I also have the armor set bonuses I'm using. So for instance, for Solar Lock, I have it so I have Aeon Force Converter, so when I sprint I get Speed Booster, which is DR, and I have the Absorption. So obviously that's my chest and mark for this, and my arms and boots, so I highlight that here as well, my armor set. You can make a copy of this and edit it however you want. This is what I use to like mark down the stats and kind of figure out what I need to make these builds, right? I kind of put the math and did the numbers and figured out what my tunings need to be to hit these like quote perfect stats. I also use Armor Picker when I'm trying to finalize the build, just to like put it all together and make sure I don't miss anything. And there's what's it called, D2 Armor Genius, that's really good as well for being able to theory craft these builds. Keep in mind with Armor Genius, it doesn't really calculate your exotic too well. It thinks you have a perfect exotic. So like this Speaker Sight, for instance, is a perfect speakers because that's 75 total stats, which is not going to happen normally. But yeah, everything I'm going to go through is listed in a spreadsheet, and it kind of goes, breaks down every single piece and what I was going for, such what I use. Not every build here is 1000% perfect. My Warlock is near perfect, I'd say, but my Titan and Hunter, I was a little lenient on just because I don't main them too much, and I'm not going to freak out over 5 stats on those classes personally. It's not worth it, especially for how RNG these armor pieces are. These are 1 in 144s to get, because you have to get the piece of drop, which is whatever. Then you have to get the right tuning, which is a 1 in 4. Then you have to get the right tertiary, which is another 1 in 4. Then you have to get a right tuning, which is another 1 in 6. So equals to a 1 in 144 chance of getting the perfect pieces. And you have to do that 4 times. Not the best, not very fun. So I choose to be a little lenient, but yeah, pretty much how it goes. So this is Speaker Sight. Love my Speaker Sight. It's a very fun build. Next I have Boots. This is just kind of a build I'm preparing in case Boots gets, quote, fixed, because they're supposed to be the case where if you put a well down and a user, I put my well down, they should be able to spawn Boots of the Assembler things and give my teammates more damage. That's not the case. I don't know if that's going to stay necessarily, But in case it gets fixed, I think Boots is very strong for that, especially in a world where we're going to be not swapping, where we can't really swap our exotics during the raid now. I think it'd be really strong. So I have this Boots build prepped. Very similar, very high weapon. I'm using an illegal Boots, which is a Boots before this expansion, but it's not hard to replicate a similar Boots to the Assembler. It's going to be like 5 stats off, but nothing too crazy. I would get a Gunner Boots specifically. But yeah, decent nade, decent super, and a lot of weapon. I then have my Sanguine build. This is pretty much my run around Sanguine. Um, and by that I mean, again, if it's a not swap world and I'm not allowed to, swap to speakers to Sanguine, I want to be able to have my highest damage possible. Such a boss is really, hard to kill when I want the most damage, and Swinguin's a very, very good damage exotic. So I can run around Sanguine. And again, here, very similar case, a lot of weapon and a lot of super, right? Because you want to be able to get to the point where when you do loadout swap, which you can still do, right? You can swap surges. I can swap to here, and I can get near 200 weapons, pretty much, right? And then 120 super, meaning my well lasts a little bit longer. There is cope for these builds to have like a higher nade stat in case Helion, the buff to Helion being tied to grenade stat, actually does buff ignition damage. I think that would be really, really crazy. But it's kind of a wait and see on that. A wait and see of how good Helion's damage can be to make up for it. But for now, this is what I would do. If that was the case, I would just get rid of some of my intellect and put it into discipline. And I'd probably run some font of grenade font mods as well. I probably should be showing the mods for it, but this is nothing crazy. This actually is wrong, which is funny enough. This should be time dilation on my mark, which I'll fix in a second, but yep. And a big thing for these builds, what I do, I can show it right now actually while I tumble around. I like having these like set weapons that I pull, and these help me build my loadouts of blueprints, right? So up here are my blueprint loadouts, right? See how they have these like junk weapons on them? When I delete them, they're going to show that there's no weapon like at all, and that's really good. So when I make these loadouts and I swap these loadouts around, it makes it so I don't have to constantly be pulling random weapons I don't really want, right? So this is this one, right? Yeah. So we need to change this to some time dilations, because these are really good because these let your weapon surges last longer. So let's apply that here. Okay. Perfect. See, and I do that, and then I would delete these weapons, and then boom, there's my Sanguine damage swap, there's my Sanguine run around, my boots run around, and my speakers run around. And then here I have a Slide Warlock build. This is a very fun build. I don't plan on using this epic raid because yeah, I'm a big Slide Warlock, or I'm a big Solar Warlock guy, but Slide Warlock's really good. I'm running Syntho Assassin. You can easily run Syntho Inmost if that's something you enjoy. These are the fragments I run. Nothing too crazy here. Radiant Dawn is super, super good. On top of the fact that I don't really see Warlock as a big damage pumper anyways, so I don't really care to put these other fragments on. I'll show on Titan in a bit. Dominance is really good because you're Transcended, now it's debuffs, which plays really well into this gameplay loop where you're trying to get your Transcendence as quick as possible. I'd really recommend an Area Denial, specifically this Solstice one. If you never got it, there's a Stasis one called Lost Signal. I don't really know how to get that one right now, but these guns are really good at building Darkness Energy, which Warlock really struggles to build on Transcendence, so would really recommend it. Have a high weapon, high melee, high grenade, high super. These 3 stats, weapon, class, and health, to me don't matter because all I'm doing is sliding and building Transcendence. But if you're shooting a lot in this build, use some health or use some weapons, right? If you feel like you're dying a lot, put more health. The beauty of these builds and like min-maxing this armor, like I said, right? I have it all min-max here. All the armor, like I went for a brawler piece. I went for a brawler piece that had grenade as the 3rd stat and a melee tuning, right? You don't need to hit these numbers, right? If you feel like your melee is killing enough, you can get rid of some of the melee mods. You can get rid of some of these melee tunings and put it into weapon, put it into class, put it into health, put it into super, right? Depending on what you need, you can tune these builds, and that's like kind of the beauty of this new system. You constantly change these knobs and figure out what you need best. So yeah. But yeah, my speaker build, my Slide Warlock build with Assassin. Again, you can easily run Hoyle, just have to change some things around. Keep in mind, these number totals, they change with what you change. So let's say instead of a 13 class, I got a 13 super, right? It's going to change the number live here as well. Something to keep in mind. I have my Sanguine God build, which is a Sanguine with no loadout swap, and then my Boots no swap build as well. And by no swap, I mean not swap, and that's specifically for the epic raid. I have those. So those are my Warlock. Okay, for Titan, a little more complex. This is my Slam Titan build. This is the one that I'm like not the most proud of. I think it could be like 5 stat better, 10 stat better, but pretty much what this is a full adapter set, as you see here. And pretty much it is these fragments. Ideally, wouldn't run this fragment. I just wanted the 10 melee, and I actually don't think you really need Dawn and balance. I don't really rate these too much. I've Special and Sutek, my goats, they're on my team. Talked to them a lot about it. They've kind of shown me theory crafting too. Just don't really rate these two. If you like these, run them, right? I just for my build and how I incorporate Slam Titan, I'm not going to use these things nearly enough to be worth it. So I just wanted 10 more melee. But easily could run balance if I need more melee, or Dawn if I want more radiant. Ruin is just to get 10 weapon stat, free weapon stat, whatever. Don't really care. Courage is essential. Protection, in my opinion, is essential. And then same case here, just a lot of melee, a lot of grenade, and a lot of super. Don't really need a lot of these other stats. It has a lot of weapon, and that's just because a lot of my armor was not weapon. Like for instance, if I needed health, I can change my tuning here to get rid of weapon, right? It's just I don't really need that much health either, so it's super simple that way. But yeah, there's the Slam Titan build in terms of its stats and stuff. I guess I can show some mods too. I can transfer those weapons again. Kind of live make these builds, right? The mods there, I'll kind of do a last minute. I'll do a last second rundown through everything as well, just in case I miss any mods, if that's something you guys care about. And so I don't get a million questions about it, but yeah. So here, what would I run personally? I'd probably just do like this. Like that, maybe. Nothing too crazy here. Arms is triple heavy-handed. I think it's just really strong. Chest piece is classic resist. I'll probably void in the modern sandbox. This one's easy. I love double scav. Double scav's my goat, so I just run that. And then like orb gives me more melee. And then this is the mark that never changes. It's always special finisher, bomber, and powerful attraction. And I go here and I save the build. Alrighty, next build is another build I haven't touched too much. Is a Crest of Avalupi Arc Warlock build. I personally really like Crest of Avalupi. It reminds me a lot of Speaker Sight, and it gives Titan a weapon build, which they are severely lacking. So I really rate Crest. Again, a lot of weapon, because I'm shooting my weapon a lot neutral, want to generate a lot of ammo, 100 class to get a bunch of that Crest of Avalupi spam, and then a decent amount of evening out my other stats. Here are the fragments, in case you're wondering. This is a stat fragment here. But this gives more bolt charge, this gives me DR when they're near, and this makes my nades super awesome. You can run Skullfort. I think Skullfort's a really good option too with Arc Titan. I just personally don't like it. I play it better around Crest and a weapon build. But if you want to punch things and thunderclap everything, Skullfort is super great. Again, with this kind of build, what would I run? Something very similar like this. With an Arc Siphon. Here one's a little interesting. Grants classmate when you spam with a nade. Perfect. Melee gives it perfect. And then probably like heavy-handed. Just a spam guarantee an orb of a thunderclap melee. And then here, void, solar, concussive. My boots. Double scav. And then this one's class ability, so orb gives me class. That's just how the build works. And then the mark always is special finisher, powerful attraction. And I guess here it would be distribution. Because I'm going to be near targets when popping these crest barricades anyways. Could be Reaper as well. I kind of like Reaper. I'll put Reaper instead. Both are good though. And then I say my build. Boom. The Crest of Avalupi build. Alright. And I have 2 more builds here. This is the illegal, what am I saying? The damage swap Titan. And by damage swap, I mean the not swap Titan. High weapon, high super. I would like to have all tier 5 armor. As you can see, I'm not using a lot of illegal legendary armor, right? Like not ooze, right? Cool super weapon only. And that's because for the not swap raid, this is going to be active, meaning you get active DR if I run tier 5 armor, which is really good. I want DR. And also I really rate this armor set bonus. So I want these armor pieces. My Kira's, on the other hand, is an illegal piece. Because it's really, it's hard for a exotic right now to even get close to these stats. So yeah, bumps up the super and weapon. This one specifically, I run Justice and Dawn just to get more super and more weapon. I can bump up the stats, because the only reason I'd be running this build is a not swap raid where I really need damage, right? Want to have that Curus on, because if I swap it, I lose everything. So I need to keep my Curus on the whole time, meaning I need high weapon and high super the whole time. I can easily, though, change a lot of these mods. In neutral, I don't need a lot of weapon before I let out swap. This would be like my damage swap. As you can see, there's already the minor mods in place. Again, I need to add these time dilations here. And this would be like the triple surges or whatever, like, you know, stuff like that. Just depending. This should be triple super font. I guess those I can easily put in. This should be like dexes, depending on what I need, but yeah. And then you can change these like weapon mods to like melee mods, right? Because you're going to be still slamming consecration during this time, so you can just change it. Alright. And then I have a PK's build. Nothing too crazy here. Very similar concept, the exact same fragments, except now I have a PK's. Again, making sure I have all this tier 5 armor, making sure I keep these stats pretty high up there. PK is really good right now for super spam and super regen. I'd recommend running the raid SMG with this or Year Tide Apex, which is the Solstice SMG. This one right here. This one or the raid SMG are very good. Very competitive options, both these weapons, when you're running Peacekeepers. And those are the Titan builds. And I went over those fragments. Perfect. Okay. And then we have the Hunter. So my Hunter's a little jank, not the most perfected. And the biggest thing about my Hunter is Hoyle Hatrachni, the classic Hunter class item. This is woven off nades and abilities. Get more abilities when you use other abilities. This is what I run personally. I think Purpose is really good because I always run Goldie, meaning I get restoration off my orbs. And then Radiant Melees is really good again because I'm always running Threaded Spike. Big thing to realize here is that I like the raid set, right? Suspend, Unravel, and Sever apply to targets, as well as Radiant Resto, improve duration. The biggest thing here is it makes this Sever last literally 14 seconds, and the biggest thing, Dawn I think lasts like 3 more seconds, is that this Resto nade goes from 5 seconds to 8 seconds, which is really strong because there's no real good way of healing on this build. So I really like that my nades are healing. One, healing in general, but 2, they have an extended duration of healing, up to 8 seconds of healing. I really rate. I will probably upgrade this set to all tier 5s when it's out, but for now, I think tier 4 is fine. And as you see, the stats here are still very competitive. I like having a lot of weapon because this build is pretty, as you swim your abilities, I like being able to shoot my weapons after. 100 class, it's really essential in my opinion for this build. You're always spamming your Ascension cooldown, and I like 100 nades, so I never run out of Hoyle. I never run out of like a grapple nade to use, aka grapple, which gives me woven mail. And then 70 melee is really good because every time you ascend, you always get your Threaded Spike melee back. So those are the stats here. Nothing too crazy on these mods. That's pretty much the basic stuff here. Again, just trying to get those stats up as much as possible. I have a damage swap here. It's not really like finished, and this runs a lot of illegal armor. And the idea pretty much with this is just getting that super and weapon as high as possible with Star Eater. I know Galanor Star Eater, this mark right here, is very strong. I'd actually probably recommend this in a world where Nowswap allows you to switch your class items still. As long as it allows you to do that, then you would easily swap from Hoyle Hatrachni to a Galanor Star Eater. And then again, you would make sure you have really high super and really high weapon when you do so. And you can obviously change the mods around too. Like here, like if that is the case, I would probably get rid of Dawn and add like Justice. I'd add 10 more super for me, for instance, to make sure I try to hit that 150 super. Okay, I think that's everything. If you guys have any questions, like please like put it down in the comments about the builds. But those are the builds I really rate. Again, I have the spreadsheet. I'm going to link in the description. Just going over every build that I made and how I rated them. I have the tunings, and you can make a copy. You can change it however you want, just depending on what. For me, it was really easy to kind of keep track because I was farming a lot of tier 5 armor, and I kind of could checklist like, okay, I got this piece. Oh, I need a gunner class item, and I need to make sure I was weapon tuning. And then when I get it, I checked it. And again, even if I didn't have all perfect armor, when I about had like in this instance, when I had 4 pieces, I kept a lot of good pieces that I had. And then I would go look at Armor Picker, put it in, and see, oh wow, I actually can make a decent build off this. I just have to get rid of like maybe 5 of my super, and now I gain a little bit more nade. That's completely fine, right? So making sure you're also checking that as well. But yeah, I really appreciate everyone watching the video. Again, let me know if you have any questions. And a lot of these builds are obviously made before Ashen Iron, so the sandbox might change. It might change some good builds around, but these are the builds I like, I rate, that I use in my everyday content. And some of them, as you saw, are pretty raid focused as well. Alrighty. Have a good one, everyone.